I don't know how you're going to do that. Huh? You have to think about it carefully. It's going to be still light, don't forget. The sun is going to be shining still, or whatever. It's not going to be dark. Maybe it won't be sunny. And the sun will be on that side somewhere, huh? Western side. So just bear that in mind. As you say, you don't know how many devotees. What if 50 devotees come? What are we going to do? Well, to speak of 100. Anyway, think about that. Talk to the powers that be. Talk to the president, represented here by his wife today. And anyway, be prepared. Call Rajadharma quickly to bring his stage. Is he still in Russia?
I think he already should by now know. I think.
You think he came back? So we'll begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Lord Nrsimha, he looks a bit angry there. Looks like he just came out the pillar. He's ready for war. You want Lord Nrsimha to come out of our stone-like hearts, huh? And rip all the material desires to pieces. What do you think? People up? That's all you think. Whatever I ask. I said, what do you think?
Coming from our stone heart, ripping off the desire.
Maybe he will not come, especially from my heart, because it's very, very hard.
He can come out of any, if you want. You have to be, if you're demoniac enough, he might come out. So. Ooh. We got plenty of Hiranyakashipus hanging out in our hearts. Huh? Definition. Indra is something or another? Or just Indra? Just Indra?
Yeah.
Just Indra, okay.
Indrajit.
Indrajit. Oh, you're the son of Ravana. Okay. And what are you doing here? I said to him, what's your name?
Manoranjan Pandit.
What?
Manoranjan Pandit, nickname Manus Titu.
All right. Naranjan?
Manus Titu.
Manus Titu. Manus Titu, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Das Rajiv. Das Rajiv.
Dasa?
Rajiv.
Das Rajiv.
One, please. Did you get?
Das Rajiv.
Oh, yes.
Das Rajiv. Not Dasyagriva. Not Dasyagriva. We're going to have a Ravana's army here today if there's any more. Indrajit, Dasyagriva. We're going to be in trouble. Dasa?
Rajiv.
Rajiv. Dasa Rajiv. Are you all from Bangladesh?
Yeah.
You sure? You got that question right.
Partially.
So, Lord Nrsimha's appearance day. We're lucky. I mean, no one outside of the Gaudiya line and all those devotees of Nrsimhadev in India, which are many actually, but outside of India you will not find many people other than Gaudiya Vaishnavas and some Bengalis here and there celebrating this day. They may be, usually on this day is also the day of Vishaka. I don't know if it is. Buddha's birthday. It's normally today. There will be celebrations. If it is, usually on general calendar, it's on Caturdasi. It's generally the same day. And in Paris there will be celebrations for Lord Buddha. Of course, Lord Buddha also is not Lord Nrsimha, but they're the same source. They're the same, different reasons, but they're also forms of the Lord. So Lord Buddha, I know in Malaysia on Nrsimha Caturdasi in the old days, I could never celebrate Nrsimha Caturdasi as normal because it's Buddha's appearance day. I'm not a Buddhist per se, but it's the biggest day of the year for Sankirtan. Yeah. So I remember one year I distributed books in Penang in Malaysia when I was there. Very many Buddhist temples there. And, I don't know, I never lost count of books, but probably about 1,000 books in one day, probably. Magazines, small books like that. And people would just come up and just, without even saying anything, I just stand there, people just outside the temples, people just walk up and throw, 10 ringgit, 20 ringgit into my cloth without saying a word. Everyone just get a magazine or a book like that. Huge Sankirtan on this day. People are in a very pious Buddhists in Malaysia, many, are very charitable, very, very charitable on this day. To any monk, and they don't know we're a funny-looking Buddhist monk, but they think we're a Buddhist monk, so unusual looking, but there you go. So, good day to give charity today. If you want to give something special for the worship of their lordships, good day. So anyway, we'll move on. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai. How's that someone? Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Paladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Paladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Paladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Paladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Paladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Paladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. We're back in Mayapur. That's the deity of Nrsimha. No, that's Palad Nrsimha in Germany. It's Palad Nrsimha in Singhachalam in Germany. Today they're having a massive celebration there. About 1,000 devotees are gathered apparently. Or hundreds and hundreds of devotees gathered. We almost went there. And that's the deity of Palad Nrsimha in Germany, if ever you want to visit there. It's not too far from Munich. All glories to Lord Nrsimhadev, all glories to Lord Nrsimhadev, who is the Lord of Prahlad Maharaj, and like the honeybee, is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. Interesting. That was spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He sang that. When he came to a Nrsimhadev temple in South India, he sang this prayer to Lord Nrsimhadev, glorification. There's a very sweet, very pretty, you could say, form. You feel like patting him. Or, looks very pussy-like, huh? Oh, a little different there. Namaste Nrsimhaya. Namaste Nrsimhaya. Praladayane. Hiranyakashipo Vakshaha. Lilatham kanakalaye Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimho Yato yato yami tato Nrsimha Vahe Nrsimho Vahe Nrsimho Nrsimhamare Sarabhapati Namaste Nrsimhaya Namaste Nrsimhaya Namaste Nrsimhaya Sada Kamala Parena Kamabhuta Singha Kalita Hiranya Kashipu Kanubringa Kesavalecha Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Follow! Sing! 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 Use your mouth! Kesavadishta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Kesavadishta Narahari Rupa Jaya 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 Nrsimha Deva Jaya Nrsimha Deva Jaya Nrsimha Deva Jaya Nrsimha Deva Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of half man, half lion, all glories to you, just as one can easily crush a wasp between one's fingernails, so in the same way the body of the wasp-like demon Hiranyakashipu has been ripped apart by the wonderful pointed nails on your beautiful lotus hands. So this beautiful deity of Lord Nrsimhadev, who knows whose deity this is? Indraduna Maharaj's deity. We're worshipped now in Germany somewhere, I believe. Poland, maybe Poland. I saw somewhere. Can't remember. I'm not sure. Can't remember. I offer my most humble obeisances to Lord Nrsimhadeva, who gives joy to Prahlad Maharaj and whose nails are like chisels on the stone-like chest of the demon Hiranyakashipu. Lord Nrsimhadev is here and also there. Wherever I go, Lord Nrsimhadev is there. He is in the heart and is outside as well. I fully surrender unto Lord Nrsimhadev, who is the origin of all things and is the supreme refuge. We'll hear a little bit more about that during the day. O Gambhiram Mahavishnum Dvalantam Savato Mukham Nrsingham Vishanam Badram Mrityo Mrityum Namamyaham. And we know where this form of Lord Nrsimhadev manifests. Where is this form manifested? Sriram Mayapur. ISKCON Chandradoya Mandir. This is the Ugra Nrsimha form of the Lord, very angry form of the Lord. Ripping not just Hiranyakashipu, but perhaps in this scene he's actually ripping all the demons who come forward to pieces. Legions, it said there were legions of demons after Hiranyakashipu who came to attack Lord Nrsimhadev. I bow down to Lord Nrsimha, who is ferocious and heroic like Lord Vishnu. He is burning from every side. He is terrific, auspicious, and the death of death personified, or who can overcome death. So don't get afraid. But if you take shelter, it's like Prabhupada gives the example of a lion. Now, if you actually see a lion, imagine if you saw a lion, you're walking on the street in Sarsal, even Sarsal Sambrits, and you see a lion coming towards you. How will you feel? A big lion, full-on lion. How will you feel? What do you think, tiger? even a Nepali tiger may be afraid, huh? What do you think? Have you ever seen a lion?
I saw tiger but not lion.
In Nepal you saw a tiger. They have tigers in the forests. But you never saw a lion. They're very common, well, not very much more now, but they're common in Africa mostly. Huh? Lions. I don't know if they have many lions left in Asia. They used to. But in Africa they still have lions.
They don't care about the jungle people. They don't care about lion. They can.
What do they care about?
I mean, when lion come, they also in front of lion, and they take the food from lion mouth.
Who does?
In Africa, some guys, they're just jungly people.
Oh, not generally, but sometimes.
Yeah, just few people.
So it depends on the lion, where the lion is. Wild lions, only if they're hungry. Say there's a hungry lion walking on the street in Sarsal. Will you go up and start patting it? And probably you'll scream, which is the worst thing to do. But anyway, you'll probably scream. There's a lion showing its teeth. Scary. And but for the lion cub, like a pussy cat has, a cat has a pussy, a baby cat. A lion cub, is it afraid of the lion?
No.
The lion may pick that cub up in its teeth, right? And carry the little cub. The lion may carry the cub in its teeth. Is the cub scared that the mother's going to go? No, the mother's not. It's very gently picking up the cub to carry the cub to safety somewhere. But if another animal is in those teeth as a lion, they do tend to be quite aggressive. And you've probably seen videos at least of a lion on in the chase, and when they catch an animal, there's nothing they can do. They are dead. So a lion is known as the king of the jungle. All animals are afraid of the lion, practically speaking. Few exceptions, but more or less all animals are afraid. So, but one who's taken shelter of the lion is the great ocean. Imagine the great ocean. Now, you have not far from here the Atlantic Ocean. It's a very vast ocean, and you find yourself in the middle of the ocean, alone. I mean, without a boat, even with a boat probably. But without a boat, and there are big waves, 30, 40-foot waves all around you. You won't last long, but you'll be quite afraid. It's a fearful situation. The ocean is 10,000 meters deep. 10,000 meters deep. How will you feel? Scary, huh? Just the thought is pretty scary. Even if it's not an ocean, just any body of water, if you can't swim, even a small body of water can be scary. I want to speak of, even if you're a good swimmer, there's nothing you can do in the great ocean when you're stuck in the middle of it. You have no boat, nothing. Even your rubber ring is not going to save you for long. It's scary, it's a great ocean. But is the fish afraid? There's a little fish in that ocean. Is the fish scared? Is he afraid? No. Not afraid at all. He's afraid of being out of the ocean. If you put the fish on the land, the fish is afraid. It's out of its habitat, it's out of its, safety zone, comfort zone as we call it. The fish is quite happy in the ocean or in the water, because that's where it belongs. So, like that, because it's taken shelter, you can look at it in different ways, but basically it's taken shelter of the ocean, and the ocean is giving it protection. You take shelter of Lord Nrsimhadev, he'll protect us. And even from death. Death will occur of the body, but you won't be afraid. Is anyone afraid of death? You are? You're honest. Probably. Usually when you're young, you don't think of it so much, not consciously anyway, but when you do, or you see it in front of your face, it can be quite scary. Usually. Some people, everyone's different. But generally speaking, people are afraid of death. Generally. But if we take shelter of Lord Nrsimhadev, you have nothing to fear. What is death? It's just the end of this particular body, so to speak, at least end of your time in this body. And it's just changing dress, really. But we're scared because we don't know anything else. Fear, what's the cause of fear? What's the cause of fear?
It's created on mind, own mind.
Excuse me?
Our own mind creates fear.
It's conjured up in our own minds, that's a fact. So what is it that causes it to become a fear?
Fear from death.
Pardon?
The fear from death.
Unsafety.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, what specific, why is death fearful?
Prabhu said that there is unknown.
Unknown. Ignorance. Ignorance is the cause of fear. When you don't know something, then there is a potential fear. If you're aware that you don't know, and there's a situation you're in which, needs being dealt with, it can create fear. You don't know where you're going, you're lost. You're lost in the jungle. Have you ever been lost in the forest or lost somewhere? Probably. Even a small child, if he's lost in the street, he's afraid. Maybe an adult's not so afraid of that, but if you're lost in the middle of a great jungle, even if you're an adult, it can be quite fearful. You don't know where to go. You don't know what's going on. Sometimes, we have experience, at least in dreams, where they can be quite fearful sometimes. You're completely in ignorance. You don't know where you're coming or going. You're just experiencing fear. It's some horrible situation. I don't want to go too deeply into it, but ignorance is the cause of fear. It's not death per se in of itself, but we don't know. Well, it may be very painful. That's also very unpleasant. But we don't know what's happening, what's going on around here. So, people are afraid. They're sick or something. They don't know what it is. They get afraid. Maybe I've got this. Maybe I've got that. Oh, no. Maybe I'm going to die. Oh, no. Whatever. Or there's a war, or there's some economic problems, or your girlfriend left you. You don't know if she's coming back. Your boyfriend, whatever it is. Yeah. So fear. So Lord Nrsimhadev can remove that fear if we take shelter of him. The situation may still be the same, but you're not afraid. You can remove that. Even if you don't fully know what's going on. It's like a child, if the parent comes along, the child doesn't really know where he is or what's going on, but if the parent comes along, the fear goes away. You feel sheltered. You lose your fear. Or if you're in the ocean, and suddenly a boat comes along and picks you up, you feel your fear goes away. Have you ever been afraid on the airplane? When sometimes the airplane goes boom. You ever had that? A little bit yesterday, wasn't it? I don't know if you experienced that, but the plane coming down into Paris airport did a few boom booms like this, It wasn't that much. It wasn't enough to make you scream. But, sometimes maybe you've been on planes where that. I've been on planes where that's happened. Everyone's screaming. It just goes boom, and it goes down, and boom, boom, and it's like this. You don't know what the heck's happening. It goes like this, You think it's all over, and it's scary. These times, I've had in my life probably several times where Lord Nrsimhadev has been, his presence has had, those are small things, has had a major, very major influence and a major effect on the situation we were in. But we're not going there today. And then we'll move on. Vāgishayashavadane Lakshmiriyasya chavakshasi Yasyaste vidaye samvit Tang Nrsimham mahang bhaje. This is a commentary of Sridhar Swami from Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Nrsimhadev is always assisted by Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and he is always embracing to his chest the goddess of fortune, Mother Lakshmi Devi. The Lord is always complete in knowledge within himself. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadev. Just various prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. Palada vidayaladang Bhakta vidya vidaranam Sharadindu ruching vande Parindra vadanang harim. Let me offer my most humble respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadev, who is always enlightening Prahlad Maharaj within his heart, and who always kills the nescience that attacks the devotees. Nescience means ignorance. His mercy is distributed like moonshine, and his face is like that of a lion. Let me offer my most humble obeisances unto him again and again. So this is Lord Nrsimhadev. It must be Chandan Yatra, is it? I think it's Chandan Yatra. He's covered in sandalwood paste to cool him down. At this time of the year, basically speaking, it's the hot season, May in India. And this time of year they cover the deities with Chandan, sandalwood paste, to cool the Lord down. And Lord Nrsimhadev, as you may know, he after after his wrestling match with Hiranyakashipu, and he was very hot and tired, so he came to Mayapur. And some of you in Bengal, some of you have been there to that place, Nrsimha. Who's been to Nrsimha? Did you go there when we were in Mayapur? No, you didn't get there. Nrsimha. Who's been to Nrsimha? No, it's maybe 45 minutes from the Chandradoya Mandir, more by walking. You must have been there, Danatai, Nrsimha. If you've been on Navadvip, Tom, on the parikrama there, you will have gone to Nrsimha, the form of Lord Nrsimhadev. It said that there he went to rest and also to clean up, after he was a little dirt, never dirty, he's always transcendental, but blood, maybe he's just, and we won't say what he did because that's for tonight, but he said that he washed his fingernails there, there's one lake there, and rested there and so on. In Mayapur, or Navadvip more specifically. That's another comment by Sridhar Swami, a famous commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam. His mercy is distributed like moonshine, and his face is like that of a lion. Let me offer my most humble obeisances to him again and again. Ugra pyanugra evayam Svabhaktanam nukeshari Keshariva svapotanam Anyesham ugra vikramaha. This Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted this, but this is also a mantra or commentary of Sridhar Swami on these pastimes of Lord Nrsimhadev. Although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. Similarly, although very ferocious to non-devotees like Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsimhadev is very, very soft and kind to devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. And we see this beautiful painting there of Lord Nrsimhadev in a very kind of like, you can feel he's very soft, he's very kind and loving form, and patting Prahlad Maharaj on the head. Right? I hope he's going to do that tonight. Hope he doesn't make a mistake.
We don't want to reveal the surprise.
We don't want to reveal. Hope he doesn't make a mistake. Kali Yuga, full of faults. So we'll just chant one or two mantras or verses from Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Nrsimhaya. Namaste Tejase Avir Bhava. Vajranaka Vajradangsha Karmashayan. Randaya Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Svaha. Abhayam Abhayam Atmuni Bhuyishta Om Shram. Now this is a famous verse from the 5th canto. The 5th canto does not deal with the pastime of Lord Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj. But in this 5th canto we'll see the residents of Jambudweep, that means this earthly planetary system. They offer their prayers to the Lord according to the form of the Lord whom they worship. So this is the residents of Harivarsh. It's one of the islands of the earthly planetary systems. And there resides Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, together with the residents of Harivarsha, they offer these prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, who is their worshipable form of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadev, the source of all power, O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth, just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. So this is a verse to learn, if you don't know it. It's a good verse to recite all the time. There are, you can say, inimical energies, inimical persons, inimical thoughts, which block our spiritual advancement or divert our attention away. They disturb us. Very few living entities in this world are transcendental to disturbance. Whether in the mind or whether outside, it ultimately ends up in the mind anyway. But there are so many disturbances even on the endeavor to progress in spiritual life. Unless one can take absolute surrender, absolute shelter of Krishna, the holy name, which is the pure stage, fully, those who have fully surrendered to me, are not disturbed by fear. But generally we're not fully surrendered. We're trying. So the Lord appears in this form of Nrsimha Dev. He manifests, or as earlier we said, assumes this form. If we call upon him, for his help, at least we can try to protect us from this, obstacles on our path, desires, vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. These are the demons. It's not so much people who have a certain characteristic which we may describe as demoniac and so on, but rather the material desires which are in our hearts. As long as material desires they'll always be there, but as long as we're embracing those desires, then they will cause us so many problems. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yoni evate. They're the cause of our distress. So we approach Lord Nrsimha Dev to please remove these desires, this nonsense in my heart, which constantly harasses us, and sometimes we get captivated by these material desires, start speculating or endeavoring to fulfill them, and become entangled in this world. Better to become entangled in, you could say, in Lord Nrsimha Dev's embrace, although it may look a little fearful from a material perspective. That will protect us from the entanglement of this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive out ignorance. This is a spelling mistake. So that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. So this is a nice prayer. If you want to learn a prayer, it's a good one to learn. And there's a nice purport to this prayer also. In the Bhagavatam, you can look it up if you didn't catch the reference. It's 5.18.8. Oh, this is interesting. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 5 beautiful prayers in Sri Navadvip Bhavataranga, one literature which he's written, for receiving the mercy of Lord Nrsimha. These prayers are certainly assurance to all sincere devotees that the worship of Lord Nrsimha is purely in the line of aspiring love and devotion to Sri Radha and Krishna. We do find sometimes, and our genuine acharyas describe it as pseudo-Vaishnava. They're not really understanding what a Vaishnava is, but they claim to be Vaishnavas, they dress like Vaishnavas, they may even talk and chant like kind of Vaishnavas do, but they do not accept Lord Nrsimha Dev. What are we doing worshipping Lord Nrsimha Dev? We're aspiring for Madhurya Bhav, right? What is Lord Nrsimha Dev? He's not in Madhurya Bhav, is he? Is he having a rasa dance with Hiranyakashipu? Kind of, but not the type of bhav that we're looking for. So why do we worship? You have no faith in the holy name? You have no faith in Krishna? You're just Aishvarya Bhavs. You're Aishvarya Bhaktas. You're just afraid. You're worshipping the Lord in reverence. Huh? They sometimes say like this. Have you heard that? You from devotees also? Well, I mean, as I said, there are genuine Vaishnavas, and Srila Prabhupada, of course. I don't know if he went into this in depth, but some of his godbrothers did, and they said, these are pseudo-Vaishnavas who talk like this. They're not really Vaishnavas at all. They don't understand what's going on. They don't understand the relationship. And here we have Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now, who is Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Is he worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev and, you know, "Oh Lord Almighty, I bow at your feet"? Well, he might be an element of that in his approach here, but is that his objective? Is Lord Nrsimhadev his kind of ultimate Ishtadev? Who is Bhaktivinoda Thakur? What rasa is he in? Pardon? Madhurya. He's in the topmost relationship with the Lord. He's a Manjari, he's Kamala Manjari. He's not, Shantaras or even Dasyaras. They're there and contained within all the rasas, but he's Madhurya Ras. And these are his prayers. In referring to as being, this is the temple in Nrsimha Pali. Very clear, it's a little clearer. There's the temple building. It's in Madhyadweep. It's where do you know where Godrum is? Where Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house is? It's beyond that. You have to go, I don't know, a few kilometers deeper in. You'll come to Nrsimha Pali. It's quite a way in, actually. I don't know how many, maybe 10, I don't know, kilometers, but quite a way in. In the middle of nowhere, really. I mean, it's kind of a bit, isolated. And there's the deity. You can barely make him out. He's very, 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 very old deity, Lord Nrsimhadev. He looks scary. That's about all I can say. That is kind of amazing. And you see on the top side there, he has a chakra, as you look at the top right there. Chakra. Now, I don't know what scripture is in, but I've read that Lord Nrsimhadev is none different than the Lord Vishnu's chakra. He's actually a form of the chakra, the Sudarshan chakra. The same purpose, to kill the demons. Whether it's Shishupal, whoever it may be, or protect also. He protected Ambarish Maharaj. His business is to protect and to kill. He's that form of the Lord, that manifestation of the Lord for these specific purposes. As long as you're in contact with this material energy, so to speak, there will be danger. There is danger. Demons are always... That's their business. And in Kali Yuga it said that the Lord has arrangements in every yuga. The Kali Yuga, the demons are more powerful than the devotees. This is Kali Yuga. I mean, we're talking materially here.
God never come to save us.
He's saving you now, if you take shelter of him. Yeah, he will, if you take shelter of him. Because the devotee realizes that we see things materially. An actual devotee does not see things materially. He deals with the material world because, materially speaking, you have to preach, you have to interact. But he doesn't identify with it. The protection that Lord gives is he frees you from the fear which results by identifying with this body and the material world around you. The fear of demons, the fear of death, the fear of whatever it is, loss. Is powerful for those who are on the bodily platform. It's almost insurmountable. So Lord Nrsimhadev protects us from that terrifying fear. That's the protection he gives us. Not that he necessarily protects your body. This body is bound to die. No, whatever you are, everybody dies. You are not the body. The body is just not us. It's Maya to think we are this body. That's the basic ignorance. We think we're the body, and therefore we're afraid. But when you realize you're not your body, there's nothing to be afraid of. Fear, the fear of a devotee is that he starts to think, I am the body. That's the danger. The danger is you think this is my family. The danger is you think I'm French or I'm Indian or whatever it is. The danger is you think like that. That's the danger. Lord Nrsimha protects us from that danger. Not most people, they approach God to protect them from what is actually their greatest enemy. They're not to protect them from their greatest enemy, but rather to allow me to remain in that situation, embracing my greatest enemy, ignorance of identity. Lord Nrsimha can free you from that identity. As long as we have that material identity, we cannot worship Radha and Krishna. We're still seeing material. We're thinking they're order suppliers. We're thinking they're material. We're thinking they look beautiful according to my conditional life. Or they don't look beautiful, or whatever it is. It's a relative perception. As long as we have a relative perception, we can't worship Lord Nrsimha. As long as Lord Radha and Krishna. As long as we have any fear, we can't really worship Radha and Krishna. We're doing on behalf of the pure devotees of the Lord. That's our objective goal. But we're not really worshipping in that mood of Madhurya Ras, Hare Krishna. We're worshipping mostly in the mood of Aishwarya. And if we do think of Madhurya Ras, that's okay, we should understand that. But it's usually imitation, it's like a sentiment, it's not pure. Krishna doesn't accept from those who are not pure exactly. But in the form of Lord Nrsimha, he can remove those obstacles in our ultimate goal. It's not just we think it's the material obstacles. It's not. It's the attitude which we have, or the ignorance which we're in, that he removes. That's his protecting of a devotee. Nothing to do with the body. Nothing to do with wars and demons and old age and death and whatever people do, killing people and what have you, nonsense that goes on. That's external, and maybe that also can be there, but that doesn't really help anyone. It may increase your faith a little bit, but then you see God as nothing but an order supplier. Every time, give me this, give me that, give me this, do this, help me, do this. We're putting ourselves in the center. Lord Nrsimha's protection is to take ourselves out of the center completely. But we see ourselves in the center, in the sense, we're not seeing our real self, but we're seeing our conditioned self, the limited knowledge which we've accumulated, or which we speculated, or which we have faith in. We put that in the center of life. We don't let go, and that blocks us completely from spiritual life. Complete blockage. Or material attachments, of physical attachments, forms which we identify with, hopes and dreams, all kinds of, you could say, coverings of the soul which prevent us from entering into the real purpose, the spiritual realm, the eternal loving relationship with Radha and Krishna, or whatever vasa we're in. So Lord Nrsimha will remove those barriers on our path. That's his expansive form of Krishna as Lord Nrsimha, to cut them out, remove them from our consciousness, so you can progress in spiritual life without all these, whatever, barriers, whatever you want to call it. And these are the prayers of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'll just read it, you don't need to repeat. E dushta hridaye kamadi ripuchaya kutinati patishtasa sacha sadarai hridaya sadana ara krishna ravasana Nrsimha charane mora eto kamana. Within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies headed by lust perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, the desire for fame plus sheer cunning. At the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimha, I hope that he will mercifully purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Lord Krishna. Kandiya Nrsimha Padi Magiba Kakana Nirapadina Vadvipe Jugala Bhajana Bhaya Bhaya Payayanra Darshane Se Hari Prasana Hoibo Kabe More Daya Kori. Weeping, I will beg at the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimha for the benediction of worshipping Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, perfectly safe and free from all difficulties. When will this Lord Hari, whose terrible form strikes fear into fear itself, ever become pleased and show me his mercy? Yadyapi Bishunam Mukti Dushta Jiva Prati Paladati Krishna Bhakta Jane Vadrati Kabiva Prasana Hoi Sa Kripa Vachane Nirbhaya Karibe Muda Akinchane. Even though Lord Nrsimhadev is terrifying toward the sinful souls, he offers great auspiciousness unto the devotees of Lord Krishna, headed by Prahlad Maharaj. When will he be pleased to speak words of compassion unto me, a worthless fool, and thereby make me fearless? Vachundevo so he vatsa Sri Gauranga Dame Jugala Bhajana Harti Ho Name Mama Bhakta Kripa Bale Vigna Jabedura Shuddha Chite Bhajo Radha Krishna Rasa Pura. He will say, dear child, sit down freely and live happily here in Sri Gauranga Dham. May you nicely worship the divine couple, and may you develop loving attachment for their holy names. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles are cast far away. With a purified heart, just perform the worship of Radha and Krishna, for such worship overflows with sweet nectar. E boli kabe mora mastaka upar Sviya Shri Chodana Harshe Doribeshwar Amani Jugala Preme Satvika Vikare Durayalu Tibo Ami Shri Nrsimha Dwari. Saying this, would that Lord delightedly place his own divine lotus feet upon my head, I will experience sublime love for the divine couple, Radha Krishna, and undergo the ecstatic transformations called Sattvika. Falling on the ground, I will roll about at the door of Sri Nrsimha's temple. What'd you make of that? Isn't that convincing enough from our own Acharya? You want to worship Radha and Krishna? Don't take it lightly. It's not a cheap thing. We have to be all these, every little anartha, every little, dirty thought removed from the heart. And you know how difficult it is. You can chant for thousands of years and you're still thinking of nonsense. I don't know if you ever noticed that. We haven't got the experience yet, but don't waste your time trying to experiment. What was that?
Something fell down the altar.
Symptomatic. What fell down?
I didn't see what, but I heard.
Let's see.
It's confirmation. It was from whatever.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So, by the mercy of the pure devotees of the Lord, they're giving us this opportunity. We have to take it. So Lord Nrsimhadev is extremely important in our progress. Why did Srila Prabhupada introduce this chanting of Namaste Nrsimha? Right in 1967 he taught the devotees this prayer, when he had a heart attack. So from the devotees' point of view, they were naturally thinking, please protect our... They weren't ready, but Prabhupada was thinking in terms of the purpose of this mission. He came to the West to try to serve his Gurudev's instruction, to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Huh? So he was, and Prabhupada writes, he said that sometimes I'm afraid that the demons they'll actually crush this movement in terms of, physical crush. Even here in France, we're here, but it's not easy. They have tried in the past. They tried in Russia. In many countries, they tried to completely remove every trace of the Hare Krishna movement from that country. But it still goes on. And we take shout of Lord Nrsimha Dev, he's there. Whatever he wants to do, the pure devotee of the Lord doesn't petition the Lord for specifics. He petitions the Lord just to take shelter, he has no other shelter. Whatever you want to do with me, so be it. But Prabhupada was very concerned. These young boys and girls had come to Krishna consciousness, and they're 1967, basically speaking, very immature in their spiritual lives. And Prabhupada was actually teaching them like this. We have to take shelter, Lord Nrsimha Dev, not just to overcome death, ultimately death, yes, which means staying in the material world, to overcome that, but to become free of that which is blocking us from spiritual advancement. We introduced this very early in our movement. It became a daily affair. More or less after every arti in ISKCON, we chant these mantras, isn't it? Pretty much after every arti. It's not compulsory, but we would always do it after Mangal arti, noon arti, and evening arti, at least those three. And at other times too, when we would go on a journey, what do? You often start by chanting these mantras, huh? Depending on who's driving the car, you chant it more and more, and Namaste Narashingaya Paladayane. Sometimes you chant the whole way on the whole journey. The driver is so bad. A miracle we reach the other end. But whether we do or whether we don't, that's not necessarily the real point. The real point is that we're actually, on our journey of Krishna consciousness, appealing to Lord Nrsimha Dev to remove, we cleanse our hearts, purify our hearts. And do we want to preach? Well, Prabhupada's, you could say, his introduction or his fear was that the mission of preaching would be upheld. If he were not, if he was going to leave his body, the work was not done, so to speak. Wasn't ready, whatever he was thinking, I don't know. That's his relationship. But whatever it was, he introduced it to us, and to make us realize how dependent we are. It's not just knowing a few things, but we're totally dependent upon the pure devotees. We're totally dependent upon the Lord's mercy. So there's a lovely verse, the next verse in the Bhagavatam, is also a famous verse, also spoken by the residents of Harivarsh in their prayers to Lord Nrsimha Dev. Svasya stu vishvasya kalak pasidatang Dhyayantu bhutani shivang mitodhya Manascha badrang bhajatadat hokshaje Aveshatam no matirhapyahotuki. Some of you know this verse. The first verse we chanted, Om Namo Bhagavate Narasingha Namaste Tejasaya Vira Virbhava Bhajvanaka, and so on, is a verse to purify our own hearts. Huh? This verse, once that's done, then this verse we can also do. We're following in the footsteps of those whose hearts are purified, although we're not really on that platform by any means, but to some degree. And then this verse becomes the next, you could say, stage. This is Prabhupada's mood. May there be good fortune. May there be good fortune throughout the universe. And may all envious persons be pacified. May all living entities become calm by practicing Bhakti Yoga. For by accepting devotional service, they will think of each other's welfare. Therefore, let us all engage in the service of the Supreme Transcendence, Lord Sri Krishna, and always remain absorbed in thought of Him. When the heart is purified, then you can remain always in thought of Krishna. And you'll naturally think of the welfare of all living entities, because they're not really separated from Krishna. There is eternal part. Everything is the energy of Krishna. How can you have any animosity towards Krishna's energy? You naturally want to connect that energy to Krishna. No matter how, whatever the living entity's consciousness is, one understands that they're all meant to be bringing pleasure to Krishna. And one will naturally act in that way as to try to awaken it. And there's only one peaceful situation for the living entities. That's when they're situated in pure devotional service. The devotee is always hoping there will never be peace otherwise. There will be arguments, there will be fighting, there will be all kinds of distress, stress, distress, and so on. So it's a prayer of the devotee. If you have the 5th canto here, you can bring it. We could read the purport even. It's quite a relevant. Every purport is relevant, but this one is specific to this verse. And then we'll be finishing this morning's session once we read that purport. But during the day, we plan to intermittently at least read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Others can do kirtan when we're not reading. And then this evening's program will begin with a continuation at this point. Okay. What verse was it? 19 or something? Pardon?
18:9.
5th canto. What verse? I have to go back. 18. Okay. Well, I can't find. I'm on the wrong chapter. That's why. 5:18:9. Here we go. Listen carefully. The following verse, the following verse describes a Vaishnava. And most of you know this. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Just like a desire tree, a Vaishnava can fulfill all the desires of anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Prahlad Maharaj is a typical Vaishnava. He prays not for himself, but for all living entities, the gentle, the envious, and the mischievous. He always thought of the welfare of mischievous persons like his father, Hiranyakashipu. Even though, this you see with Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur was being whipped in the marketplaces, and he was simply thinking of the welfare of the Nawab and the Qazi and all those persons who were whipping him. He was thinking of their deliverance. He wasn't thinking of punishing them. He was thinking of their deliverance. And actually that was Prahlad Maharaj present at that time. This is inconceivable to us. Of the perpetrators, so to speak. And because Haridas was just thinking of their welfare, he wasn't even concerned about it being whipped at all. He was just thinking of the welfare of those who were beating him. And same with Prahlad, he was always thinking of his father's welfare, even though his father was trying to kill him. Prahlad Maharaj did not ask for anything for himself, rather he prayed for the Lord to excuse his demoniac father. This is the attitude of a Vaishnav who always thinks of the welfare of the entire universe. So we can test ourselves, how much of a Vaishnav are we? To some degree in relationship to this statement here. Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Dharma are meant for persons who are completely free of envy. How free of envy are we? Nimatsaranam. How much are we free? Parama nimatsaranam satam. Therefore Prahlad Maharaj prays in this verse, Kala pasidatam. May all the envious persons be pacified, and there's quite a few envious people in this universe. How many people are there in this universe?
Must have.
You mean human?
I didn't say humans. How many envious persons are there in this universe? The whole universe, basically, except for a few exceptions. Unlimited living entities. Unlimited. And everyone, to some degree or another, conscious or unconscious, are possessed of envy. The material world is full of envious persons. But if one frees himself of envy, he becomes liberal in his social dealings and can think of others' welfare. Otherwise, although we may think of humans or a particular race's welfare, we're still envious of others. We either don't accept them, or we want to get rid of them, or we don't understand that they're also living entities, but we don't realize they're not really meant for my sense and gratification. There's knowing or unknowing envy involved. Only a pure devotee can understand things for what they are. Anyone who takes up Krishna consciousness and engages himself completely in the service of the Lord cleanses his mind of all envy. Manasya badhrang bhajatad adhokshajay. Therefore we should pray to Lord Nrsimha to sit in our hearts. If we want to preach, then we have to become free of envy. We should pray, Bahir Nrsimho Hridaye Nrsimho. Let Lord Nrsimha sit in the core of my heart, killing all my bad propensities. Prabhupada introduced this also, so those young devotees and all of us, and consequently, have this understanding that in order to become Krishna conscious, serve Radha and Krishna, preach Krishna consciousness, we need the grace of Lord Nrsimha to remove all of these falsities, all of these illusions which we're in. Killing all my bad propensities. Let my mind become clean so that I may peacefully worship the Lord and bring peace to the entire world. How can you bring peace if you're not peaceful? You can all sit in a meeting for peace, but the person sitting in the meeting are not peaceful. How can there be peace? My peace is better than your peace. We're going to smash your peace and establish my peace. Right? Then we'll have peace. Religions think, there is a certain religion that actually thinks like this. Or at least the people do, the religion doesn't. Because they're not following it. They're just seeing themselves in the center and they're full of fear. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has given us a very fine purport in this regard. Whenever one offers a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one always requests some benediction from Him. Even pure devotees pray for some benediction, as instructed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshastakam. And this is the benediction. It's a little different to the material benediction, right? Ekanath Prabhu? What is this prayer? Ainanda. I don't know if the Lord heard it. Sometimes you have to, Ram patitam mam vishame bhavam bodho kripaya tava para pankaja ditiduli sadvisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet some or another have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. So you could say, well, he's asking Krishna for something, but what is he asking for? He's asking that may I be situated in a position so that I can eternally serve you without any impediments. Place me in my constitutional position to bring you pleasure. I was thinking that it was kind of funny. On one conversation, one devotee was questioning Prabhupada. Prabhupada had just talked about how the living entity is like a spark out of the fire, So you're a spark, an insignificant spark. And so the devotee said, in the spiritual world, if I'm a spark, Srila Prabhupada, what will I be in the spiritual world? Prabhupada said, you'll be a spark. A spark in the spiritual world. So I was thinking, if that spark is twinkling brightly and sparkling nicely, pleasing Krishna, there's nothing wrong with being a spark. If it's bringing Krishna pleasure, and you're going to sparkle for Krishna's pleasure. Kids, how they like sparklers? You have them in France, those sticks you light it and all these sparks come off. They call them in England sparklers. Do you remember those ones? We used to like them when we were kids. And you go like this, and they're very pretty, huh? And you get this like a circle and all the sparks coming off of it, like a halo. So you may be part of that halo, sparkling nicely for Krishna's, rather than Krishna's pleasure. So be it. Whatever our position may be. Prabhupada laughed. He was kind of joking. In another prayer, Lord Chaitanya says, Mamma janmani janmani shure bhavatad bhakti rahoitiki tvai. Life after life, kindly let me have unalloyed love and devotion at your Lordship's lotus feet. The devotee doesn't even ask necessarily, take me away from here. I don't want to be born again. I want to go back to Godhead. Sometimes that's okay, we can pray. But here is in life after life, as long as you engage in your unalloyed devotional service, I don't mind. Doesn't even ask for that. When Prahlad chants, Om Namo Bhagavate Nrsimhaya, he prays for benediction from the Lord. But because he's also an exalted Vaishnava, he wants nothing for his personal sense gratification. The first desire expressed in his prayer is Svastyastu Vishvasya. Let there be good fortune throughout the entire universe. Prahlad Maharaj thus requested the Lord to be merciful to everyone, including his father, a most envious person. According to Chanaka Pandit, there are two kinds of envious living entities. One is a snake, the other is the man-like Hiranyakashipu, who is by nature envious of everyone, even of his father or son. We see this so many times. Family members fighting with each other over property, over whatever it may be, especially property. Huh? They're fighting over their father's property, brothers and sisters fighting with each other. Sometimes over anything. It could be over a partner, it could be over money, it could be over whatever. Hiranyakashipu was envious of his little son Prahlad because he couldn't control him. Prahlad was out of his control. And sometimes parents also, they become envious like that. It doesn't look like envy, but they become angry. Anger is also caused by envy. Root cause of anger. So, he was angry with his son. So many forms. The desire to eat meat is also envy. That living entity has a body which we want. I want to eat it. Envy. Envy is all pervasive in this world. That's why we're here. But Prahlad asked the benediction for the benefit of his father. Hiranyakashipu was very envious of devotees, but Prahlad wished that his father and other demons like him would give up their envious nature by the grace of the Lord and stop harassing the devotees. The difficulty is that the Kala, envious living entity, is rarely pacified. One kind of Kala, or the snake, can be pacified simply by mantras, or by the action of a particular herb, mantroshadi vishak sarpa, kala kena nivaryate. An envious person, however, cannot be pacified by any means. Therefore Prahlad Maharaj prays that all envious persons may undergo a change of heart and think of the welfare of others. The prayer of a devotee, even if we can't do anything, they're not listening. Devotee continues to pray for their welfare. If the Krishna conscious movement spreads all over the world, and if by the grace of Krishna everyone accepts it, the thinking of envious persons will change. Everyone will think of the welfare of others. Therefore Prahlad Maharaj prays, Shivam Mitodiya. In material activities everyone is envious of others, but in Krishna consciousness no one is envious of anyone else. Everyone thinks of the welfare of others. Therefore Prahlad Maharaj prays that everyone's mind may become gentle by being fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna, Bhajatada Hokshaje, as indicated elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarvaimana Krishna Padada Vindayo, and is advised by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Mamana Bhavamad Bhakta. One should constantly think of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then one's mind will certainly be cleansed. Cetodarpanamarjanam. Materialists always think of sense gratification. But Prahlad Maharaj prays that the Lord's mercy will change their minds and they will stop thinking of sense gratification. If you want to become free of envy, Narada Muni says you have to give up sense gratification. If they think of Krishna always, everything will be all right. Some people argue that if everyone thought of Krishna in that way, the whole universe will be vacated, because everyone will go back home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada answered that differently in different places. Yes, that is our program. Close down the universe. Close down the prison. Huh? No more prisoners. But then here Prabhupada says, however, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says that this is impossible because the living entities are innumerable. If one set of living entities is actually delivered by the Krishna conscious movement, don't worry, another set will fill the entire universe straight away. You empty the prison, don't worry, they'll soon be full up again. Yeah. And that be here when Haridas Thakur, who was it? Vasudev Datta? Praying that all the living entities of the universe they both did that actually, that be delivered. And Lord Chaitanya said that even if they're all delivered, don't worry. You won't even notice anything happen, because being delivered is the soul being delivered. It's not the body being delivered. It's the soul. The body is still there. So another set will immediately come and enter those bodies, and life will carry on as if nothing happened. You won't even notice anything. You won't think, well, wait a minute, how does that work? All living entities are delivered, but things are carrying on. Unlimited, unconscious living entities are waiting for their opportunity. They're just on the, whatever, waiting room or whatever it is, waiting to take birth. Nothing to worry about there. It'll carry on, don't worry. Yes, that's your fear. That what will happen to the material universe if we all go back to God? It'll be a disaster. What will happen? What will happen to the Eiffel Tower? Who's going to look after the Louvre? Oh my God. Nobody there. Nobody at all. That might be a disaster.
They will split something again on Mona Lisa.
Huh?
They will spill something again on Mona Lisa and succeed.
Mona Lisa? Well, they did it. Well, there's nobody to do it. No living entities at all.
But she's protected by glass.
Mona Lisa's protected?
Yeah.
By Lord Nrsimha. Yeah. Mona Lisa's in the Louvre, is it?
Yeah.
Is that Leonardo da Vinci painting?
Yeah, yes.
The famous artist. He was living near Mayapur for a long time.
Vinci?
Amboise.
Yeah.
Houses there, all famous tourist resort, Amboise. All over the floor, regularly you see something written on there, some Leonardo da Vinci memorial or something. Right on the floor in the town. Yeah, he was patronized by the King of France, huh? Gave him shelter there. Yeah, Amboise, Blois, they were like capitals of France at one time. Now Mayapur is the capital now.
Yeah.
Capital of Paris